Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age or any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe from concussions.
NeuroGuard. I control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I ride. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. And with concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Brown right, motion, tailback slant. Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner, all right? On one, ready? Go 13! Coming up, go 13! Hey!
Talking Cowboys is the open. That's how much we love football. Hang on. Got this new song we're playing.
Lights are bright on.
It's not a new song. It's a new song to me, and I really enjoy it. Anyway, I'm Terry Bennett. That's Grant Goodwin. It's time to talk a little Week 3 4A here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus.
What happened to our on-air sign? When we were on air, it lit up, and I needed to shut up.
It's literally right behind you.
Oh, oops! I didn't pay attention. Never mind.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I thought you were literally joking because it's right behind
I was looking at you.
Oh, I do appreciate that you look at me more.
Thanks.
I feel like we communicate better now.
Big Horsehead was covering up the on-air, so I don't know we're on air.
Sadly, this is the second show. This isn't even the third show of the night, if you know how those work. But that is Grant Goodwin. I am Terry Bennett. This is Sideline to Sideline 4A edition, Week 3. And boy, I don't know. Maybe it's hyperbolic. Maybe we're getting older, but it sure feels like the first 2 weeks of the season, 3A, 2A, and 4A, have just been absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Like some really great games, some really surprising scores. We went out and saw in 3A, and we'll talk about on the 3A show, Bushland Canadian, after seeing Kilgore and Carthage. And then this week we're seeing Wimberley and Austin LBJ. We're already running through the top 5 teams for all 3A and 4A divisions.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know what it is. And again, maybe it's just living in the moment and we're just happy that football's back, but it just really feels that this year, I think we're in for some awesomeness, including last week. We had some crazy results and crazy games. I don't know what's more shocking: Pleasant Grove getting beat by Paris, or Pleasant Grove getting shut out 7-0 by Paris in a game that apparently was played in 1988. But let's go ahead and start into it. By the way,
All right.
if this is the first time you've ever listened, we review the week that was and we preview the week that is. And we're going to start with a team that you and I have been hard on for the last couple of years. They made a coaching change, and I think so far the results have been great. Cal Allen beats Alice 37-7. Cal Allen running back Ricardo Rodriguez ran for 127 yards on 19 carries. They threw for 156 yards on just 5 completions. If you don't know, Cal Allen now is throwing the ball more, but they showed that when they need to run the ball, they're still going to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah. And their defense, Alice has a pretty good offense down in that part of the region, right?
Oh, yeah.
They scored some points last week. What was it, 37
Yeah, I think so. Hang
points,
on,
something like that.
pull that up to
Off
you.
the top of my head, I can't remember. But Alice is not just a walkover
They
team.
scored 48 against Carroll.
48.
Last week.
Okay.
So
I don't know where I
48.
got 37. But Corpus Christi, Carroll, 48 against them. So Alice has a really good quarterback. I mean, pretty good offense. So, Cal Allen, yes, putting up 37, and what Rodriguez did at running back and what the quarterback did, but that defense, man, limiting Alice to 7 points. And do we know where those 7 points came from? That could have been in the fourth quarter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this Cal Allen Wildcat defense is what's more impressive to me than the offense putting up 37.
It feels like there's some renewed enthusiasm, and it's not like they had went bad by any stretch. I kind of feel like I kind of compare it to 3A Holiday.
Mhm.
When Holiday had been doing the same thing forever, and they were doing it well, but they were obviously getting to a certain point and they just couldn't cross that line.
Yeah,
and they made the change.
when you can't get past the threshold. You're like the 49ers, right?
Yes.
Where you're doing everything right and you've got the best team in the NFL 8 weeks out of the season and you can't get there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's how Cal Allen is within the region.
Exactly.
Right?
And they might end up being in the exact same position this year. Who knows? But
I think Cal Allen's getting back to where they can say we are kings of the region. Not yet.
Yeah.
But they're getting close.
Yeah, no, I totally
they
agree.
lost that 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Even,
they were kings of the region for a while.
Yep. Oh, they played Mexico this week.
Huh?
They played Mexico City this week.
Yeah, that's right.
So they might
That's
be playing
always a
42-year-olds.
game that may or may not happen,
Yeah.
right? I mean, just, the border crossings are a little tough.
Yeah.
I know that. Trust me.
Well, I thought everything was open. I thought it was all open board. We just
I'm
sorry. I'm just
remember when
kidding.
I had to call you and I couldn't get back across in the middle of the night? It might have been 3 a.m.
That was a long time
No, it's
ago. Wow.
Military fatigues, guns, and Boys Town. A little bit different than what this Mexico City is going to have to deal with, but
it's kind of the same thing sometimes.
yeah, just if you're Mexico City and you want to make it across the border, don't turn over a hot dog cart in Boys Town. That's all I'm saying.
It's the weirdest thing.
Because that's why I couldn't get back.
Oh no, I know. I'm saying it's weird that you did
quote
that.
unquote arrested.
Yeah, you got detained. Like Tyreek Hill did yesterday.
Right. Well, I wasn't thrown to the ground until I got into prison or jail. And then there was a whole thing. I don't know. Might have been a prostate massage. I don't know what that was. It was weird.
Y'all were dating.
You
left as a prison number. You left as a prison wife. He still checks on you from time to time.
All right, that's gross.
All right, let's
don't
say
be gay.
Let's
Sinton 35, Port Lavaca Calhoun 21. Man, Sinton was trailing 14-13 at half.
Yeah.
Sinton scored 22 unanswered points in the second half. Tristan Henderson, the quarterback for Sinton, ran for 3 touchdowns. Derek Garcia ran for another 2. This Sinton team, you're always really high on Sinton.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of checking my enthusiasm on Sinton,
I've
not
become
trying to get
frustrated with them.
my head over my skis.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm starting to lean towards that Sinton's pretty darn good. Port Lavaca Calhoun played pretty close, lost last week to a really good, who was that last week?
We had it on the show.
It was a 3A team, but a really good 3A team. And I am going blank. Help me out.
Hang on, I'm pulling it up. Give me a second. Yoakum.
That's right.
Yeah. Look, you're right though. It we talked about Cal Allen. They've been kind of region locked. So is Sinton. And Sinton's usually been one round shorter than even, Cal Allen's got.
Yeah.
Last 3 years, 11-2, 8-4, 10-3. 3 really good years, but then you still feel like they're leaving a game on the field. A couple years ago it was Laga Vista upsetting them, and Laga Vista ended up playing in the region final, and they showed how good they were that year.
Yeah.
And if and by the way, Corpus Christi, Cal Allen, and Sinton play in a couple weeks.
Maybe
October 4th. I'm just saying.
Where's that at? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's right down the road from each other.
Right there.
It's in Sinton.
All right.
Do that on Friday,
then lay out in the Speedo on the beach on Saturday.
But then also the very next week, Sinton plays Cuero to start district.
Ooh, well, I know.
Cuero seems. I told you, Cuero seems down this year, but we'll we'll talk about them. But anyway, I think this was a really good, solid. I've said it before. What I call a professional win. They beat a team by 14 after trailing, and that's a team that they easily could have lost to. Second week of the season, non-district. Sometimes your players lose focus. They were able to get it back in that third quarter, and it's going to be interesting to watch them. And the great thing is they play Cal Allen in a couple of weeks. They also play Alice next week, so we get a little of that calibration game between them and Cal Allen. So I think those are still the 2 teams in the bottom half of that region. One of them's coming out to take on a Cuero or a Wimberley or something like that. All right, let's swing all the way out west. Hereford. Boy, did we just pick 2-0? Did we just pick the worst year ever 2 years ago to have a Hereford show when they went 0-10?
Started getting better last year. Now they're really good, right? 2-0 now.
Beat a good Lubbock Estacado team, 41-21. Caleb Ramirez, the junior, he has been starting since his freshman. And by the way, that is why they went 0-10 a couple years ago. The coach made, I think, long-term decision of, I'm going to play the young guys. We're going to get our doors beat off, but they're going to be the crew that is special. And last year they make the playoffs. They go around. This year they're 2-0. Ramirez went 15 of 25 for 289 yards. Brylan Lopez ran for 171 yards. And
defense played a good, solid game.
Yeah, because Estacado's going to score on you. And I'm just really impressed with what they're building in Hereford.
Yeah, I am too. So white faces, man. Maybe we go out to Hereford and see a game. All right. How about Edna? 35, Bay City 7.
I'm blown away
by the fact that Edna is just blowing the doors off of Bay City, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I picked Bay City to win this game. I thought it would be a little bit pretty close, right? But so I'm wrong. Edna wins this game, but man, who would have thought that Edna would have just absolutely pantsed Bay City 35-7.
Well, and this goes back to what we talk about where Bay City is frustrating. Like this felt like, I'm not going to say it was.
I had Bay City as one of the teams that could make it to a region final.
You and I, when we were talking in the Big R's preview show, when we were talking off the air, and now again, they have plenty of time to turn it around.
Oh, yeah,
but we're just talking about what we see.
Played.
And by the way, they're at Columbia next week, and so we're going to see them against
Columbia.
The Roughnecks.
They ought to handle Columbia.
That's my point, though. If they're going to be able to come back from this, they've got to go to Columbia and beat them by about the same score. They can't play with their food with Columbia because look, Bay City, last 2 years 8-4. But even inside those 8-4s, which have been very resurgent years, Robert Jones has done a wonderful job of taking a program that almost had fallen to the Wharton levels, a little bit comparison in the area. They've pulled out of that, but still the last 2 years, you feel like, man, that 8-4 should have been 12-2, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they got the dudes on the roster, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes the defense kind of lets Bay City down.
Yeah, but this game, it was the offense.
We'll
talk about Edna on the 3A show. We'll present their side on that show. On this show, I got to admit, it's not the loss. It's how bad they got beat.
Right.
I'm just shocked by that.
Yeah.
Another one, Monahans has started out really slow as they're now 0-2 as Canyon Randall kind of had their way with them. Good.
Hey, look, Canyon Randall's got a quarterback.
Yeah.
Some really good receivers. So I can understand the Monahans loss. That bad though, yeah, I'm kind of like,
I
taken back by that.
And if you're a Monahans fan, or if you know anything about the Lobos and we're missing something, please email us, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. Again, they've played 2 really solid teams. They lost to 3A Shallow Water 17-14. They lost to Canyon Randall 43-14. What scares me is, with Chino Navarrete at quarterback, the offense is supposed to be what kind of makes them go. And in back-to-back games, they've been held to 14. Now, again, it's early in the season, plenty of time, but I'm a little bit shocked that they're 0-2.
All right, let's go to Frisco Panther Creek 48, Dallas Carter 13. Panther Creek, I think you had mentioned it when we were on the sideline last week at Bushland Canadian. We were looking at the score. Panther Creek, just wiping the field with Carter, a pretty decent Carter team, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Carter's elite, but they're pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
And you said Panther Creek might be this year's Anna.
Yeah.
And I think you might be right. Look, Panther Creek's quarterback, Graylin Fry, throws for 274 yards. Jalen Lott, 7 catches for 102 yards. Creek put up like almost 500 yards on this Carter defense.
Yeah, and they played Carter in district the last 2 years and literally scored 48 and 48 the last 2 years. Just size-wise, depth-wise, they
talent-wise,
talent-wise,
especially on the offensive side of the ball. But that defensive front for Panther Creek, go back and look at some of their last this game and the other game online and see what size they have up front on especially the defensive side of the ball. It's crazy, man. Panther Creek's going to be a tough out.
Let's remember, Anna. They took Anna to the mat last year in that region semifinal. Anna outlasted them 42-38. Not only do they have all that talent, but let's be honest. Since realignment in February, they're a 5A Division II school, easy. As not only is Frisco exploding, but where Panther Creek is in Frisco is even exploding more. And so
I'd tell you what, that Panther Creek Salina game in district should be. I would be shocked if it's not for the district championship.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Panther Creek Salina will be one heavyweight matchup for the ages.
And probably a second matchup in the playoffs with those two teams. Let's go ahead and talk about Salina because they outlast La Vega 49-27. This game was back and forth early. Through most of it, it was 35-27 Salina. And then Salina does when Salina is good, what Salina does in the fourth quarter is they've beaten you up so much that even though the score is close, all they need is 2 more drives, and that's exactly what they did.
Salina kind of pulled away in the fourth, right?
Yeah, and that's what they did.
The quarterback, he rattled off 25-yard touchdown run in the fourth. The defense came up with a pick 6, and that's all she wrote.
Well, I think with La Vega, they've still got the great running back, but you're seeing
rock and rolling. Right?
They're having an adjustment period with the quarterback because they lost their quarterback and they're kind of working in a new one. And it was still unique last year that La Vega could score as much as they do. And I think their offense is going to be fine. We'll be talking about who they play, but man, you want to talk about the next this is their schedule going forward, and La Vega always plays whoever. West Orange Stark, at Brownwood, host Stephenville, at Gatesville. And Gatesville's way better than what people people need to watch. And then they've got China Spring. And I know China Spring's 1-1. And I know China Spring is a little bit of a step back where they've been. But let's not forget how big that rivalry is between those two schools. That is a blood rivalry. Man, the mid 2000s when those two were going at it, some of the best football you'll ever see. And so, just wanted to point that out. La Vega, man, they just keep tough teams.
All right, how about Chapel Hill 33, Gilmer 29? Man, the game was thrilling.
Great game by teams.
Oh yeah, man. This game was back and forth with about 2 minutes left in the game. Gilmer's down by 4. They recover a bad snap on a Chapel Hill goal attempt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gilmer started marching down the field with under 2 minutes left, got it down to Chapel Hill 23-yard line. Gilmer snaps the football. Brady McCown, the quarterback, drops back right as he throws the ball, right? The power goes out.
Yep.
No lights except for the scoreboard, but the scoreboard is illuminating that side of the field, so the receiver is able to catch it at the Chapel Hill 10. But the officials stop it.
So they can get the lights back on.
The lights went out. Are we going to allow that play? And it lasted forever, that discussion. They not immediately, but they came back and said, okay, yeah, we're going to allow the play. There, I guess there was enough light, but the scoreboard illuminated it. So I'm sure everybody at Chapel Hill side was going nuts. Gilmer's going nuts.
I have no problem with
them allowing it. And
McCown
at the end throws to the end zone as time's running out, misses the receiver, game over. Wow. And Gilmer's 0-2 with Kilgore on the schedule this week. Gilmore Gilmer could be 0-3. Your returning state champion has.
Oh, they will be. They will be, and they could be 0-5. They're on the road against Lindale and on the road against Brenham before they hit district play. I'm gonna go ahead and tell 7-4A Division II right now. If Gilmer is healthy going into district, y'all's in trouble because Gilmer are going to be getting some blood out because they're angry. Now you're also seeing in back-to-back games.
I don't think they're going to lose against Lindale.
I don't know. Lindale's pretty salty.
No, I think they are.
Now you're also seeing. And it's so weird. Now, that team went undefeated, but we all remember when G.J. Kinney went over to Gilmer. You're seeing that Brady McCown in back-to-back games, he's a good quarterback. He's having to adjust to being in these tight situations. Against Pine Tree, he had a key fumble at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this one, after making a really good throw as the lights go out, I think he overthrew a wide receiver. He missed him. I mean, the guy was open. Even great quarterbacks, it takes them a time to get used to playing in these meaningful games. He's not playing in Rusk or Jacksonville now. He's playing in Gilmer.
Sure.
They're going to figure it out, though.
Oh, yeah.
You remember
absolutely.
how Carthage used to be when they were winning state, but they'd be like, 6-4 going in because of who they played in non-district?
Right.
That's where Gilmer is right now. Gilmer is going to be perfectly fine.
Oh, Gilmer's going to be fine.
And by the way, kudos to Dave Campbell's rankings for understanding that and keeping them at 6th, even at 0-2, when they've lost to 2 really good 4A Division I teams.
Yeah. All right. How about Hitchcock? 71.
I did not see this one coming.
48. Let me tell you, this is very impressive for Hitchcock because Hampshire Fedette, to me, is still a top 10 team.
Maybe not anymore. I thought that
I don't know,
too.
man. Their schedule.
Oh, no. It's just, dude. If you
don't drop Gilmer, why would you drop?
Because
Hampshire?
Gilmer didn't give up 71 points.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
to a 3A school. I know they're a good 3A school.
Yeah,
but
no, I see your point.
But but you're not wrong. Your point though remains is Hampshire Fanette's not going, or Fanette's not going anywhere. They're still. I mean,
once Hampshire Fanette gets in district, they're going to be fine.
And doesn't Hitchcock? We always joke about it. Doesn't Hitchcock with this group have that Dangerfield fair when they want to play? I don't know if anybody can beat them. The problem is,
kind of, but it's more evident with Hitchcock. Hitchcock last year was rolling along the same way. They came up against Columbus, and Columbus on the line of scrimmage
and just dominated them.
Hitchcock just could not match up at the point of attack.
And then Little River Academy did it to them in the playoffs.
And that's what's might get them this year when they handled the big school, the big time heavyweight fights like Columbus, like Franklin, right? That might what get them. That they're going to have to find a way to neutralize.
I tell you what,
some of that in the trenches.
We might have to be seeing a Hitchcock Columbus rematch.
Yeah, in Hitchcock again.
But
do you want to go back to Hitchcock? Do you remember how big those mosquitoes were?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, our Uber driver turned out to be one.
I almost had to buy a can of off from the guy from Austin, the Houston Chronicle guy.
Yeah, he sprayed
that
it.
was there. He was like, "No, I'll give it to you." I was like, "I'll pay $20 for this can." Because those things were huge. They were like dragonflies, man. They were big old juicy ones.
Yeah, they really were.
You could, God, I was bit so bad. But I'm not a wuss. I was like, no, keep your off. And I'll just swat them off. Okay, I did spray down.
Let's go back to East Texas.
I didn't want Lyme disease.
Jesus Christ, dude, you're in a weird mood tonight.
Let's go to. I like football.
Let's go. So you're going to spend 10 minutes talking about the 15-pound mosquito?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes at a football game, you ever been to an LSU game?
Yes.
That's mosquitoes too.
I was real young.
If you're there before November. How about Brownwood, 17, Wall 7?
Hey, that again, on the 3A side with Wall, we talked about it. To me, that shows you where Wall is defensively. And good game for Brownwood defensively, too, holding a Wall offense that's changed things up to just 7 points.
Right. Yeah. Stephenville, 59. Everman, 21. Stephenville on another level. I don't know how good Everman is. But if you're
last year they were good, but I don't know if
you're what Stephenville is, you beat the Evermans of the world like this, right? It's up in classification, so that's
I guess they were only 6-5 last year. Yeah, I mean, Stephenville in back-to-back games have dominated two quality, if not great, 5A programs.
One's a quality, one's a little down.
Yeah, a little
but
down
they
this year.
Still,
Hey, is this the biggest shock of the week? Springtown beating Graham 35-21, especially after Springtown.
All we've heard of Graham all year with Ty Thompson, the quarterback, and which they're still going to be fine.
They're going to be fine.
There's just. I don't know, Graham. Sometimes can't figure out Graham, right?
Well, I think
they'll lose a game they shouldn't, or 2 games. And if it's at the wrong time, it knocks them out.
I think this might be more of a, so Springtown basically got beat by Joshua 21-20. And a lot of it was people saying, it was a weird game and Joshua was running flex bone and Springtown just didn't look like they were prepared for it.
And getting beat by Joshua, though, that's
not
inexcusable, but it really kind of
I did a coach's show there one year. It's rough. Now, saying that, they just shut out Irving MacArthur last week, 28-0. So maybe
that's not
for Joshua. For Joshua, not for a regular program. You're right, but for Josh, I can't even remember the last time.
But Joshua beat Springtown.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, when's the last time Joshua's been 2-0?
Right. But let's go back to Springtown.
But anyway,
35, Graham 21.
So in the Graham game, they break out. Hey, we're gonna run with our sophomore quarterback Kane Hill, and his first ever varsity start goes 14 of 17 for 2 touchdowns, runs for 110 yards and 3 other touchdowns, and that offense just
how many yards he passed for?
190.
God.
82% completion percentage. Sophomore.
That's a quarterback rating of almost 120.
Yeah, you're ready for this. 156. You ready for this?
How did you know that?
We've got stats.
Oh,
you ready for this?
I'm doing it off the top of my head, and this IBM right up here.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Apple,
wait,
Commodore 64.
What is it? Is it an IBM, a Commodore 64?
Commodore 64. I can make the balloon go across, and I can see what Hill's quarterback rating was within 30 points.
But you're wrong. But here's the crazy thing. Now, Chase Thompson, the senior, had 7 catches, but sophomore Riley Jackson, 2 catches, 106 yards. So Springtown, all of a sudden, on a youth movement, and you want to talk about the difference between week 1 and week 2. Now, remember, Graham lost their starting running back, and he's going to be out for a while. He will be back this season, but he is going to miss a few weeks. I think the issue with Graham is you've got to find somebody else to help Ty Thompson.
Yeah.
Ty Thompson ran for 119 yards. He threw for 129 yards, 14 of 34. Watch, and by the way,
a great quarterback, even like Ty Thompson, needs a comfort blanket, right?
Yeah,
something a little bit of a comfort. Well,
he needs a deep threat, and I think that's the thing. Brandon Riggins had 5 catches for 77 yards, but it just feels like. And I was watching a little bit of this game, and I watched a little bit of that first game that Graham won. It just feels like the defenses can squeeze them right now.
Yeah,
and they've got to figure out how to pop that bubble and get on top of them. And by the way, we have a Graham coaches show each and every week. Also, L4 Media shoots Graham games every week, so you can see all those on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page at L4 Media. But I'm not worried about Graham in this game. But you're right, Graham does. This is what they do, and we talked about it, and the coach talked about it.
Do it now and not in the playoffs. And
yes,
you'll be fine,
exactly.
Right?
That's going to be the big thing.
Yeah,
the
or
big
district.
difference.
You don't want to do that in district either.
They're going to get right with ball this week. They're going to go to Whitesboro. Then they're going to take on Decatur, a team that's they've got a lot of questions. So I think Graham's going to be fine, but I think this shows them some of the things they need to figure out before they make a deep playoff run, if they're going to make a deep playoff run.
All right, last 2, Paris 7, Pleasant Grove 0.
Nuts. Paris beating that can happen. Paris is again one of those
shutting
teams,
out. Pleasant
shutting
Grove.
out just tells me.
Pleasant Grove has 1 or 2 returning starters on
exactly
offense, right?
It tells me that Pleasant Grove is a little bit further down than even we thought. And a few years ago they were like this. I think it was the year they went like 8-6, and you knew, oh man, but the next 2 years they're going to be great. The thing that worries me about them is outside of like Lance Jackson, who's a stud, and Jaden Scales, but I think they're both seniors too. I don't know if that pipeline, and if we're wrong, let us know. Grant and Terry at S2SSport.com. I worry that pipeline isn't quite as full down at the youth level or the younger level. We'll see though. But hey, big win for Paris, I think they lost the first game of the season too.
All right, and team that's starting to really impress after this second week this season, Pine Tree beating Van 36-30. Man, Pine Tree, the big win over Gilmer last week, now coming up against a really good Van team, right? I think we both picked Pine Tree, but man, this solidifies it. Pine Tree is going to be a headache for a lot of people in the playoffs. Once they get, as long as they stay healthy through their district, playoffs might, Pine Tree might run through this thing, their draw in the playoffs, and we might see Pine Tree making a really deep run.
Yeah, Matt Cates went 14 of 20 for 270 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamarian Hunter ran for 2 touchdowns. You know, this is a very senior-laden team, or at least at quarterback in their skill position. By the way, Paris won their first game of the year. They're 2-0. But, yeah, you know, we said it in the preview show. We said it in realignment show that, look, I'm not saying Pine Tree is going to drop down and do what Carthage did and Henderson did and immediately go win state. I'm not saying that.
It's tracking.
but I think Pine Tree can drop down and be a region threat. I think that they could definitely be a region threat. In a region outside of this district, there's a lot of questions. Now, again, this district is loaded for bear with them and, you know, Kilgore and Chapel Hill. So, and we'll see what happens when they get into those games. All right.
Yep.
That is a look at last week. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at the 4A week 3 games. Also, you know, if that means if we're doing previews, that means Coach X. I heard it didn't work well for Oregon, but he'll tell us that. And he'll do all that when we come back right here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition on L4 Media.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm writing. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. You know, in the concussions I've got, and I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, you know, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Things got tough, I'd rob that small town blind. Yeah, I'd be sacking a small town like a blindside blitz.
Good one back here, Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition. We did the preview part. Now let's do the we did the review part. Now let's do the preview part, including a game that we'll be at. But before we do that, we have to legally talk about Coach X. By the way, I have a friend of mine doing some investigative work for us to find out exactly what's going on with Coach X.
I already know.
No, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I know what he's doing. I know his movements. He and I are working on some things. So.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but I also have got some video of him trying out for a job that I'm going to show in a couple of weeks. I'm just waiting to get it. So we're going to see what he's doing. But here's what he has to say here in week 3. Hey, did you guys know that there isn't much of a market for video rentals anymore? Okay, so he said last week he was going to work at the last Blockbuster. So
and he went.
No, what I'm saying is, did he not understand when he was saying the last Blockbuster that maybe Blockbuster wasn't a thing anymore?
I don't think he knew last.
I don't. Anyway, apparently there's a thing called Netflix popped up overnight, and it's dominating the home video market. Oh, he's going to be really disappointed when he hears about the home video market.
Home video.
So I had to say goodbye to Blockbuster Video.
He still tries to watch all his sports on HSE. You remember that? Home sports.
Greg Lucas and Norm Hitzkes were the Ranger broadcast. Yeah, I mean that was the first start of that regional sports.
George Michael Sports Machine.
George Michael Sports Machine. That was the most generic. And that dude did that job for 30 years.
Yeah, he got great ratings too.
Yeah, and it was so generic. It was never anything. It was just
we're like the George Michael Sports Machine of high school football.
I can say this about us: we're not generic. I can at least say that about us.
Anyway, are we not though?
So it's down to the road.
We got a Bushland helmet, a generic old game ball, a run the ball,
I run the damn ball. Dang it, I took that out.
Oh, you took that out.
Yeah, I took it out.
You suck. Never mind. We'll
Yeah,
just throw it away. If
It
I
even
can't
gave
give
it. You want to
a
throw
rule book? If you want another rule,
We need the new.
Other than that, we're generic.
No, we're not. You might be.
Our label on our can says just show.
White guys talking. So it's down the road to my next adventure, making picks for Grant and Tear Bear, which I've been doing for several years. So not really my next adventure, but an old adventure. But I'm also selling. Oh Lord, I'm also selling solar devices to hippies.
Oh.
If you tell them Trump hates it, they buy double what they got. Hey, Moonbeam, you want a solar power vacuum? No, you say? But if you buy this, Trump cries, and it'll save democracy. Oh, you'll take 2 now? If you buy a third, it'll lower the rate of climate change by 1 degree. Sold. Here you go, Moonshadow. On with the picks.
Okay, I've got
Lord.
a money idea for him. Coach X, if you're listening, how many people have you ever met that sell water towers or water tower involved equipment? Oh, wait, you say none. That's because the market is not flooded. Where do water towers come from? Somebody's got to be selling them. Somebody's got to be selling the parts for water towers. Just remember, you and I can do a GoFundMe here on the show. Put in money, we'll return your money with interest, and we will see the money just flow in. Water towers. That's where it is. Heck, we might even pre-paint them. You know
what's...
Wink, Wildcats.
Okay.
Sunray, Carthage, state champion. Why is Alexa going off?
They can't hear that.
Oh. What, Alexa? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
So here's what worries.
Water towers.
Hang on.
I don't know how we ship them because it's pretty big, but I see windmill blades being shipped. Surely a water tower could ship on a truck.
This is what worries me about you, is every week it's a new idea. You're not even trying the first idea.
Well, because nobody wants to do secrets with me.
Yeah, nobody wants to have a secret with you, Grant. That's scary.
No, I mean, a child daycare called Secrets next to the casino so you can drop your kids off and go to the casino and gamble, then come back, find your kid well taken care of in a kennel where it can't get out.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you don't want
dog.
Kids, but you don't want kids just getting out and getting in the street, right? So you put a bowl of water under there.
There's so many steps between being in a kennel and not being out in the street, though.
True.
You just don't want to go through those steps.
We would address that issue.
Oh my God.
Put a strong lock on the door, but I'm sure there's fire code where you can't have the doors triple locked, right, where they can't get out. There's
Can't
a fire.
have the old cartoon big wood slat blocking the door.
It's not a dungeon. Secrets is not a dungeon.
Maybe. Hey, there's
Actually,
hey,
Coach X. Hey,
we got to talk to you, Coach X.
money. Forget the water towers.
All right, let's go to the games for week 3. Let's start with the one that we're going to be at, because we're going to be going down to Austin to check
You're
out.
talking about Texas Chili Parlor.
I am so
Our
excited
favorite
about that.
restaurant. One of the favorite restaurants. Would you say Texas Chili Parlor in downtown Austin would be Sideline to Sideline's top 5?
Yeah,
restaurants?
definitely. And by the way, we ate at one of our top 5s this past week. So we're getting back-to-back top 5s. We're extremely happy about that. But we're also extremely happy about this matchup. You've got Wimberley coming to Nelsonville to take on Austin LBJ.
Oh, can't wait, man.
A team, the Jaguars, the 2 years they were in for a last realignment cycle, they dominated. They get to a state championship game. Unfortunately,
kind of spit the bit.
They spit the bit,
I mean, well, I don't want to say spit the bit, but Stephenville was the better team. But they had they not spit the bit, they would have pushed Stephenville.
Yeah, more than
until the
anybody.
last
Yeah,
drive, right?
I'm not saying that they would have won the
Stephenville
game.
would have won that game, I think, either way. But it would have been really close.
And it's tough because we didn't get to see it. We saw it after the first quarter.
Stephenville was good at that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just punch you in the mouth, and then you were laying on the mat for a while, and then they got up on you.
Exactly.
And so Stephenville did what Stephenville does. So maybe Stephenville.
And let's also remember there was a little tragedy right before that. The head coach's son had been tragically killed, like literally the night before. The fact that he even coached, just a testament to what he thought of his kids and how much he felt he needed to be there for them in that moment. And so they go to 5A, and they're very competitive. They lose to PNG 2 years ago, 24-19.
Yeah.
Last year, they kind of got beat up by Huntsville, but they were a very young team last year. Now they're back down in 4A. Thankfully, Austin.
What was that? Last year, they lost to Huntsville in the place 58 to what?
24.
24.
Yeah.
All right.
And they were a young team. And so now not only are they an older team, but they're back into where their numbers are on the same. That's why we were so high on them, even though you don't remember all the names right now, because it's not the same guys as it was 4 years ago.
But look, they've got, LBJ has quarterback Ollie Scott, wide receivers Jalen Smith and Tracy Young Anderson. In a quick defense. This is a very athletic team for LBJ. Wimberley, at times, last week, struggled against a pretty good Fredericksburg team, right?
Yep.
And I say didn't struggle, but it was tit for tat for at least 2 quarters, right? In the half. And then Wimberley and Cody Stover and those guys pulled away. But this LBJ team is a lot better than that Fredericksburg team.
Well, and, the knock on Wimberley is, when they get out of that region and they play more athletic teams, they tend to struggle, like a Belleville last year. I say struggle, they lose.
The state championship twice.
But you could make the case that the most athletic team they played was the state championship winner.
That's true.
And that's why I like that they're playing LBJ. They're going to get a taste of that.
I think this Wimberley team is built different than they were before. I think Cody Stover, man, a big-time player. He's a dual-threat quarterback that's been in the making for the last 3 years. Nolan Wada at receiver is a threat downfield. They've got 2 other receivers that are really darn good. Bryson Anderson and Jason Morales. They're just, they're playmakers. Maverick Jacobs, running back, he's a workhorse. So this is a Wimberley defense that can match up against a more athletic football team. Sometimes you win games as a good football team when you're outmatched athletically 1 through 11, but you are better football players 1 through 11, right? This could be the case for Wimberley. Right now, I'm going to take LBJ in a close one because I think that defense is so quick for LBJ that whatever Cody Stover is trying to do, they might be a step ahead. But I could see this game going either way. But I like LBJ in a close one.
See, I will disagree slightly with you.
Okay.
I think Wimberley takes a step back this year as a program. Now, that still means they probably could play for the region final, but they have to replace a lot offensively. I know they've got Cody Stover, and I know they've got a couple good wide receivers, but your offense loses a step when you lose a Noah Birdsong.
Yeah.
Your defense loses a step when you lose a Caden Romo. I think LBJ wins. I think it's a competitive game. Don't get me wrong. I think it's one possession, but I think LBJ wins this game, and they could end up winning it by a couple touchdowns.
I think it's within one touchdown.
And again, I see that as well. It's going to be fun either way. All right, let's see.
I just think Cody Stover is one of those that is just the kind of guy that puts the game on his shoulders in the second half, midway through the third quarter when you need it. Cody Stover is going to put the team on his back, and he's got a lot of surrounding. I know they lost a lot, but they've got a lot of.
Oh no,
dudes.
and they rebuild. They don't. They reload. They don't rebuild.
Since Weldon Nelms and came there and retired, he built a culture within the Texans program where they,
No, you're not wrong on that.
Yeah. So
all right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Tough pick here. Texans versus my most favorite thing in the world. Man, do I miss the hill country, the flowing rivers, the plains, the farmland. Striking, really. What is the mascot of the I'm not going to tell you how he spelt it, LBJs, but you can sound it out. I think it should be the presidents, the presidential LBJs. They could have a girl. They could have a girl dress as Bill Clinton. Give me the Texans. All right. So you and I think LBJ. He thinks the Texans. We all think it's going to be a good game, though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go a little bit more north, and I think it's going to be a honey of a game. Glen Rose versus Brownwood.
Yes.
If it wasn't for LBJ and Wimberley, and this was a really important game for us to see because it's hard to see the Wimberley teams and the Navarros and all them in the season. So this was a chance for us to do that. We would be at this game because I think this might be.
This is in Brownwood, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, what a great place to watch a game, man! But look, this Brownwood defense has been lights out. First 2 weeks they held Wall to 7 points. Wall, I know they're 3A, but they can move the football, right?
Yeah.
But can Brownwood's defense really slow down Glen Rose's quarterback, Kenyon Evans? Man, he's thrown for over 600 yards in 2 games. That's 300 yards a game on average. First 2 games. Wide receivers Joa Groneweg and Adrian Brody Bowman. I mean, they're just like a 4-headed monster there for Glen Rose, and Glen Rose's defense is pretty well too.
I think this is the game. This is going to sound weird, but I think this is the game where if Brownwood doesn't find offense, they will lose because their defense will eventually break. Because if Glen Rose is getting Brownwood off the field in 3 plays, and Glen Rose is getting 5 possessions a quarter, they're going to eventually break through.
Yeah,
they're going to eventually break through.
And Glen Rose has one of those offenses that when you play them, you're not going to stop them. You're just going to keep up with them offensively.
Exactly.
And you're going to have to get 3 stops.
Yep.
If we can get 3 stops and keep up with them offensively, play some field position, something to give us an edge, that's what you got to do. And I just don't know if the Lions have that right now.
I could see this being a game where early on Brownwood's defense plays really good, but if that offense isn't moving the ball and at least getting first downs and holding on to the ball, Kenyon Evans is going to break through.
Yeah.
I think it's close early. I think it's a close game general, but I do think by the end of it, Glen Rose has a 2-score lead.
I think Glen Rose wins by 14 to 21.
42-21 sounds really good for that.
I could see that.
All right, Coach X says the Rose versus the Wood. This is a good pick here, Grant. I commend you with a hat tip, sir. I think there's a bad game for the Rose, though, because the Wood usually pound the Roses, especially if it's a pink rose. And when you pound a pink rose with some wood, it always ends up white. Give me Brownwood. So he's going to be 0-2 in his picks because he got Wimberley, and he's
trying to go back to his scenario there, but okay.
No, let's not. All right, here's one of those cross-sectional matchups that you love to see. West Orange Stark versus La Vega.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you and I were even into the preview show, and usually you and I are very good about we wipe the slate clean, no matter what happened last year to an extent. But I don't know if you and I were as down on a team as you could be with West Orange Stark because the last
against Belleville.
Well, yeah, and
they didn't want to be there.
They didn't want to be there, and so
that's the bottom line. You cannot dissect that game past the first 2 plays of the game. West Orange Stark did not want to be there.
And, we have heard some mumblings and rumblings that while the coaching staff is generally considered, well-liked and, good people, that maybe they weren't doing a good job preparing the team, blah, 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 all that. Yet here they come out. They're 1-1, but they destroy Newt and they lose to a very underrated Nederland team by 1 point. And I think they missed the extra point and it would have tied it. I'm not ready to say I'm back on the Mustang wagon, but I'll tell you what, if they stay within 10 points of La Vega, I will be back on the Mustang wagon, and I think they might stay within 10 points of La Vega.
Well, they could. I mean, look, Stark has a really good quarterback, Marcus Turner. The running back, Kelvin Jefferson's really good. Couple good receivers, and Jamichael Davis and Raymond Mallett. It's what can this West Orange Stark defense do against Bryson Rowland, one of the best running backs in Class 4A, right?
Yeah, I just think La
J.D.
Vega
Henderson, a quarterback, playing really well, and he's got a really good receiver in Jabari Thornton. So, this is a lot of offense for this West Orange Stark defense, who is typically, West Orange Stark kind of prides themselves on their defense as being their strength, right?
Yeah.
It's their defense when they have a really good offense outside the Jack Dallas days, right?
Yeah,
That was obvious.
But you know what? Even then, their offense was still just good enough. It wasn't like Jack Dallas was throwing for 45 touchdowns. He was good about taking a team that could only score 6 points and getting them to 21, and that's all you needed back then with that defense.
Yeah, well, he put up a lot more than 21 on a lot of those.
Yeah,
teams.
but I'm saying, like,
I know what you're saying.
Against the good teams, they tended to win 21-7. Now, I will say this: I disagree with you slightly about this La Vega offense. I think the lack of a quarterback that has stepped up at least early. And look, they scored 45 against Kennedale. They scored 27 against Salina. And so
scoring 27 against that Salina front.
Yeah, but I mean, Salina's defense is good, not great.
I saw them.
I know.
I saw them.
I'm just saying, I'm saying they're a good defense.
I saw them hang in there with Argyle Liberty Christian. I know it was a scrimmage, but Argyle Liberty Christian has about as good of the offense as you're going to see.
Dude. They were doing a Witten practice. He was up there talking, and they showed the offensive line was doing drills in the back. My God, that's a small college offensive line.
And they're quick. They're athletic. I mean, I'm telling you, man, Salina playing with them in that scrimmage told me everything I know.
No, I'm saying Salina's defense is good. I'm just saying it's not great. Like, they're not going to go out and win games by their defense in the playoffs. They're going to win games by
I think La Vega's better than what you're thinking.
Oh, no, I think La Vega's going to be fine. I'm just talking about right now in week 3. I think, and this might be the game where they have to rely more on a quarterback, because I do think West Orange Stark is good enough not to stop the running game, La Vega, but to control it and force them into some passing situations.
So who do you got?
I'm going to go with La Vega. It's at home. That's a, you and I know this, that it doesn't sound, but making that trip from West Orange to Waco, I think it's not a neutral place. I think it's so. And if we're wrong,
it's
again, email us. Yeah,
so
I think that's a hard trip. I mean, that's one of those that takes way longer than you think. I still think La Vega is just a better all-around team.
I'm going West Orange Stark.
I have no problem.
I think West Orange Stark right now is more complete team, completely opposite of you. We don't disagree very often.
No,
but I think West Orange Stark.
But no, I agree with you. I actually agree with you on that part. That's my whole point, where I think La Vega is still trying to figure out the quarterback. I'm saying that this is the week I trust that they will.
Yeah.
When I say that, I still think it's going to be like a 24-17.
I think it's a very close game, but I think West Orange Stark wins this one. You think La Vega? What does Coach X say?
Where did we end up on the Vega in Street Fighter? Is the character a girl or a guy? Looks pretty muscled up, but when the mask is removed, there is long hair, headed features. I think she's a girl. I know in 2024 that don't mean anything, and I'm not sure I can talk about this anymore, but that game is made in the 90s, and I dare you to find a Street Fighter one. I've only seen a 2. Funny. The movie sucked too, but La Vega has to be a chick, right?
The Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah, Street Fighter with Raul Julia as the bad guy.
No, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And Raul Julia was the bad guy in that.
I know who that is, but
yes,
I know Jean-Claude Van. No, I don't.
Dude, Raul Julia was an amazing actor. He was the dad on Addams Family movies. He was Santa Ana in the Alamo miniseries. There's a book on the table about the Alamo, and you can see. I just want y'all to remember this: Grant hates Texas.
I love Texas.
So when we were getting to the,
I love Texas. I know everything about Texas. And on any of this Alamo business you're talking about.
So when we were at the hotel this week, and we got in really late, we had a really quick turnaround, and so we had 2 beds. And I just threw this hat over on his bed.
Why do you have to explain?
It was like Dracula with water when you touched this Texas hat. You were, oh my God, get that away from me, dude. And you're all like, the whole time. So we drove back to watch Texas, Michigan, and the whole time he's just humming the Michigan fight song. It just blew my mind.
Really? Was I? I'm the one that said, hey, we got to get up at 4 a.m. and leave Amarillo so we can make it back to Dallas.
To be fair,
so we can make it back to Dallas so we can watch pregame, not just kickoff. And you said, I'm going to see Beetlejuice. I was like,
yeah, after the game.
I think y'all went to see. I think y'all went and saw Beetlejuice during the game.
Well, I mean, we could have in the second half with that ass kicking. No, we went to the 420. We went to the 420.
How about Gunner and Salina next?
Why is this game on the run sheet? Is it just because it's Gunner? By the way,
because I wanted to compare Salina to Anna.
Oh, that's a good one. I actually like that. By the way,
because I don't think there's that much of a drop off. That's how good I think Salina is, dude. I've seen Salina.
We'll see.
Raise your hand if you've seen Salina.
Yeah, but you saw a scrimmage.
I don't care. Raise your hand if you've seen Salina. Only one of us can.
Does Gunner stay within 2 touchdowns?
And I saw Salina.
Does Gunner stay within 2 touchdowns?
No.
Hey, by the way, I know they're 3A, but congratulations that 31 game winning streak. All jokes aside, that's impressive.
And you put it on the line by, I mean, hey, dude, I give all props to Coach Frizzell.
Oh yeah,
and Gunner for scheduling that, and Salina. I mean, dude, you're not scared, right?
No.
You know you're going to get beat.
And they got
Sanger
next week. Oh no, just kidding.
Hey, Sanger. They'll kill
So
Sanger.
Dave Campbell's line has it at Salina. Now this game is in Salina. Has the game at 9 points. I think Gunner would be happy if they got beat by 9 points.
Great football team.
And I think Gunner will move the ball and score some points, but it's just
Salina's
just going to lean on him.
Salina will win by more than 9.
Here's the thing about Gunner, and if you're a 4A fan and you don't really follow them, and you're gonna be like, well, man, they've won like 3 straight state championships, blah blah blah. Even in 3A Division II, they're not pound for pound a big team. Like when you know, like good comparison, Jefferson. We were so impressed with Jefferson's size. Their offensive line would outweigh Gunner's defensive line by 20 pounds.
Yeah. Gunner's
that's not
quick.
Good. Yeah,
they're smaller but quick.
Yes,
and that's always been their game.
And so not only have they played up in playing an Anna and a Salina, they've played up against 2 programs that are known for having massive D1 offensive line.
A weight class and a classification, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. So Longview, Pine Tree, and Dallas Carter. Pine Tree all day in this one. Pine Tree has been so impressive.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Carter played Van.
Mm-hmm.
Van played Pine Tree, and now Pine Tree plays Carter. And for Pine Tree, it's now you're the favorite. You need to show that you can play as the 2-0 front runners, because Pine Tree hasn't been front runners, even though they've been better and they've made the playoffs in 5A. They haven't been winning districts. I think they did win one about 5 years ago, but you know they haven't been 2-0 much. So I'm just curious on that game.
I don't think this one's close. I think Carter sticks around a little bit towards the end, but I don't think Carter has the defensive prowess to keep up with Pine Tree. So Pine Tree names her score almost. All right, Kilgore and Gilmer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does 0-2 Gilmer take the shine off this game for you? Because it doesn't really.
It doesn't to me, because I'll tell you what, when you count Gilmer out, that's when they come back and shock you.
100%.
Right? 2 years ago, when we went to Chapel Hill, Gilmer playing Chapel Hill in Chapel Hill, right? And nobody gave Gilmer much of a chance for the season opener because Chapel Hill started the season,
I think they were
ranked number one, right?
And
Gilmer just laid the wood to them defensively. That could happen again. This Gilmer defense they're a lot more mature than they were last year. They started kind of getting their sea legs last year in the playoffs, right? A lot of those guys are back. I think Gilmer just has to figure it out offensively with their quarterback, McCown. You know, Tennyson was there last year at quarterback. He didn't want to play quarterback now, so they got McCown. That kind of things just needs to play itself out. Kind of got to get their rhythm down. I think Gilmer's going to be fine. Will they be fine against Kilgore? Probably not. Because Kilgore, let me tell you, we saw Kilgore against Carthage. Kilgore is an old school SEC team.
Oh, man,
they are brutal up front. Like, you are going to need an ice bath until Thursday after playing them. So I think Kilgore wins this one, but don't be shocked to see Gilmer hang in there and even have a chance to win or even win the game. But man, that Kilgore team we saw take out Carthage, it's tough to think of anybody beating them right now.
This game could get a little ugly. I'm not as sold on Gilmer's defense when you really look at what they did in that playoff run. They're till the Belleville game.
But they were sophomores and juniors.
Oh, I know, but they were sophomores and juniors that were giving up a ton of points. And
right.
So
I understand.
I was talking about that when you a 2-8 team and they have everybody back. Is that good or bad? We don't know yet. And I just think Kilgore's just more mature right now. Like they're just bigger,
they are,
faster.
and that might be what gets Gilmer. But Gilmer's got a pedigree.
Yeah, and
you're not going to walk in there and just automatically beat them because you're Kilgore.
Exactly.
They beat Carthage,
and like
right?
we said,
it's a new game for. Gilmer doesn't care.
Even if they end up 0-3 and 1-4 or 2-3 going into district, Gilmer is going to.
They'll get right.
They're gonna,
and they might get right in this game. That's the thing.
Again,
you don't know.
Yep.
And you might. Everybody, 9 out of 10 pundits is going to pick Kilgore in this game and be shocked that Gilmer won this game. But it happens all the time. Gilmer is Gilmer, and I'm telling you, don't count them out of this
district,
game.
The 7-4A Division II has been disappointing to start. 2 wins combined, 2-8 to start the season in 7-4A Division II. That's pretty surprising. All right, we're going to finish out with Aubrey versus Brock. Aubrey 2-0 with wins over Sunnyvale 33-31, and then Kennedale 33-7. Not shocked that they beat Kennedale. Kind of shocked that they held them to 7 points.
But Kennedale is a shell.
Yeah, they really are.
Man. Brock, their quarterback, Brody Woods. I mean, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's got a receiver in Colt Matlock who's averaging over 20 yards per catch. And then Cody Farmer, running back. I mean, Brock's kind of just starting where they left off.
Dude, the scary thing about Brock this year is when they lost some of their line, they lost their running game, they lost some key moment guys on defense. All of a sudden, that junior quarterback wide receiver connection is finally consistent.
Right.
And that's
they were kind of looking for that last year.
Well,
right?
and I still contend that, you and I've had this discussion. I still contend if they play a clean game last year, they beat Malakoff. But the problem was they didn't play a clean game all year. And give Matt Diggs credit. He kept saying that on our North Texas show, like, hey, look, they're winning, but these turnovers will eventually come back to haunt them. And it did against Malakoff. This year, at least so far, I think he's thrown 1 interception to 4 or 5 touchdowns.
It's a 2-game sample, though.
Yeah, it's a 2-game sample, but I mean, it's
hard to take much away from 2 games.
Oh no, you're right, 100%. That's why we said week 3 is when you start to see the team starting to, and some teams still develop 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. But I think Aubrey can give them a little bit of problem, but I think that Brock wins this going away.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know if it's name your score, but it's by 3 touchdowns.
All right, let's see what. Coach X doesn't have anything to say on this one. All right. I think that is going to do it for this week. You have anything else to say, buddy?
We'll see you in Austin. If you're from Wimberley, hopefully I don't think we're going to do Sideline this week. I want to just sit up in the stands.
Yeah, we're going to sit in the stands this week.
I don't even want to do Sideline. Yep. Maybe we'll just sit on the
We like to do that a couple times in season, and then they're in the playoffs.
So if you're from Wimberley, you see us, say hi.
Yep.
Terry will buy you nachos and a hot dog.
Well, I'll buy a nacho. I'll
give you some good financial advice.
No, you're right.
Like
I will
water
buy
towers. That's where it's at.
I will buy them nachos. They give me the money. I will walk down and get them nachos for them.
Yeah, there you go.
And also, if you happen to be hungover in Austin Saturday morning about 9 a.m., come to the chili parlor because we will be there eating chili and buying chili to take home.
Yeah, and we'll buy your chili if there's not more than like 2 of you.
I mean, again, with your money, we'll go up to the register and pay for it.
With his money, we'll buy you each person that shows up 4 beers and a bowl of chili.
If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments,
I'll buy a cup of chili for everybody. That's like $1.
If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, email us, Grant and Terry at S2SPort.com. Find us on Facebook, Sideline to Sideline, or on Twitter, just like John Cena did, because
how do we have John Cena?
John Cena, the wrestler, follows us on Twitter. So, Mr. Cena, if you're listening and you got your Brock sleep pants on and rooting for them, we think they're going to win this week. But we do appreciate everybody. You can find us there at Grant and Terry. Until next time.
You must have been fingered at John Cena, and he says, I'm
going to go ahead and turn this up.
Small town rivalry.
I don't know.